want that chair, don't you? Go ahead. Show these older folks that you're the man of the house here. Okay, somebody say hello, Mr. Floyd.
Hello, Mr. Floyd.
Hello, folks. We're certainly glad that you folks came by here. Welcome to the Oak City Cemetery. I hope you had a good trip so far. I hope you had some interesting people to meet. We're probably not as interesting. I'm probably not as interesting as those because I'm just a village blacksmith. And I'm not much of a talker, but I'll do what I can here tonight to get my story across to you. And one thing I will tell you, after being back there since 1964, it's good to be out here amongst the folks again. So whether you know it or not, and it's got nothing to do with Halloween, occasionally some of us get to come out at night. Well, I was born in 1881 and I died in 1964. And that was pretty good in those days. I lived to be 83 years old. So I did pretty well. So I guess all those years of hard work didn't hurt me. But I don't know if you know, but down off of Market Street in Bainbridge, it's off Clay Street. It's a little dirt street. It's behind the In the Garden Nursery. I think most of you know where that is. And that's where my shop was. And it's still standing today. It's not in very good shape. It's just about falling down. But one of the things about that particular area was it was called Oak Grove back then. And it was a place when people came from miles around to Bainbridge to shop and do other things and do some farming and all that. They would park their horses, their wagons, and whatever down in Oak Grove because it was one of the coolest spots in Bainbridge. Now, while they were parking their animals there, they would leave for me to go ahead and work on. So by the time they went to shop, I had to shoe some horses or sharpen a plow or do something like that. So it was very good for my business and it was a great location. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of history lesson about blacksmithing from the late 1800s till about 1950 when I retired. Back in the late 1800s, all the farm implements, even the hand tools, were all made out of iron. And iron was very difficult to sharpen, okay? In about 1910, steel became prominent, which was a boon for my business because steel, this being steel, was so much easier to work with and to sharpen. That way, I could work faster and make more money. About that time, about 1925, my brother-in-law, Jesse Waller, who was in partners with me, said, I think I'm going to move to Brinson and open up a shop there, which he did. So we actually expanded our blacksmithing to Brinson. Now, later on, after the steel, everything seemed to go in my business towards sharpening plows and that sort of thing. No more horses. Didn't do horses anymore. People were showing up in cars. 1925, there were cars all over the place. I didn't do anything with cars, although some in my family did later in life work on motors. But the thing was, the steel made it so much easier for me to work. And I kept my business going until about 1935 when the Depression had hit. The farmers were in trouble, so I had to figure out how to keep my business going, feed my family. Now, I switched basically to small appliances, anything metal. I worked on toasters. I actually worked on radios. And one time this lady came in and asked me to fix the metal stays in her corset. I was a little hesitant to do it, but once I did hers, I opened up another avenue because that was the style of the day. So, anyway, when things came into my shop, no matter what it was, I was able to kind of fix them and keep everything going, and like I said, until I retire. Now, I mentioned my family, keeping my family fed. Well, I was married twice. Once to a lady named Dorcas in 1905, and she died in 1919. But she had 3 sons and 2 daughters. In 1931, I married a lady called Hattie, and she gave me 4 more sons, which was a very good thing because they worked in the business and that sort of thing and helped me out. However, there is a tragedy in my family. It was long after I died in 1964. In 1976, my youngest son, Clifford, was killed. He was killed down in Fowlestown. He was robbed, he was beaten, he was shot, and he was buried alive.
Oh, goodness.
And I was so fortunate to have passed this earth by then that I didn't have to deal with that. And the 2 men that did it to my son were both convicted, of course. One was electrocuted, the other got the death penalty, but it was commuted some years later, and that man is still in prison today. So, although I've had a wonderful life in Bainbridge, the end of it was a little bit on the tragic side, to say the least. So, other than that, I've had a wonderful time in Bainbridge. I'm having a wonderful time here tonight with you folks. I want to thank you for all stopping by at the same time. That it almost made me not have to do it again, but I see some folks coming. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the rest of the tour, and thank you for stopping.
Thank you.